Hello, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever y'all are saying this. My name is Nate, if you do not already know, and I pretty much talk about Jesus Christ. I spread the gospel. I give you guys life advice on past experiences in my short amount of life, and I just pretty much help y'all to be able to come closer to Jesus Christ. And Jesus speaks through me, and I talk to y'all. Today I'm going to be talking about your identity, your worth. What do you put your identity in? And I think it's very important that, first and foremost, we understand what identity means. What identity pretty much is what people see you as, right? If you were to ask your friend, hey Austin, what do you see me as? Right? What do you think of me? That would be an example of your identity. And you can do this across 5 more people, right? And get a base understanding of as to what people may see you as. Is it a really cool guy or a really cool girl? Or is it a really terrible guy and you're just a terrible friend? Or is it, this kid who plays baseball and straight up dedicates his entire life to it? That would have been me 2 years ago, by the way. And I'll get to that story in a little bit. Some of the things we can put our identity in is sports, and that's really common to where people will hyper-focus on one thing. Their whole day, their whole mood will be dependent on how they did that day, that night, that game, in the sport. That's one of the things. One of the other things could be even clubs, chess, art, whatever club you may be in. No diss to any clubs out there, right? But there's you could put your identity pretty much in anything. Drawing, Jesus Christ, playing chess, playing football, cheerleading, volleyball. There's a ton of different things. Video games even. It's pretty much endless. And when it becomes an issue, though, is when we hyper-focus so much on it to where it affects our mood. Oh, no, I didn't get this amount of hits or this amount of yards on this play or this amount of catches, so therefore my whole day is ruined. That is a really strong example of what it means to have your identity straight up rooted in a sport. I'm here to tell you our true identity is found in God. It is found in Jesus Christ. And I like to think that everyone already has that identity, but ultimately it is up to you to be able to identify yourself as that, to be able to identify yourself as a follower, as a believer, as a servant of Jesus Christ. You have that choice. And a lot of people pick it up and people will just kind of go about their day and do what they want. But now I'll share a past experience to where I was struggling with this. Baseball. That was definitely a time for me in high school. I played baseball since about 4 years old. 4 years old to 15. That is a lot of years. I'm not going to count, but that's a long time to be playing a sport. And this really kicked off in high school to where I would straight up root myself. I would base my mood on my performance of that game. Freshman year, I was not very good. I couldn't really hit a ball to save my life. All I was really good for was speed and my fielding ability. And even my fielding was a little shaky my first year. And it was to where my parents were seeing this. My brother, everyone was just like, my mood was really bad. My attitude was very bad because of how I performed, because of how I did in that game. And that's because I straight up only had an identity in that. And it took me going to my counselor's office that really made me realize that without baseball, what would I be? She straight up asked me this question. If you were to stop playing baseball today, what would people see you as? I stared at her with a straight blank face. I couldn't answer it. Because that's all it was. Right? If you asked any of my friends during that time period, it'd be like, oh yeah, it's this kid who plays baseball. Who works hard, all this stuff. And those aren't bad traits to have, but that's what it would have only been. Was that I played baseball, I worked hard. Right? It wasn't found in Jesus Christ at the time. It wasn't found in anything but baseball. So now that's my freshman year. We'll fast forward to my sophomore year, and spoiler alert, this is when I quit baseball at the end of my sophomore season. This was a little better season in terms of stats and everything, but ultimately I didn't do too great. Like, ultimately with baseball, like, I would study Jose Altuve. I'll never forget. I still have a bunch of screenshots. Any little guy who was around my height or my body weight, I would straight up study their swing path, the way they loaded into their back leg, their stride, their whatever it was. Like, I would straight up look at it hours on end and just study it. MLB Network was on every single morning because those guys would probably be breaking down Jose Altuve, because at the time he was doing really good, and I'm sure he still is. Anyway, if y'all don't want to hear y'all probably don't want to hear the boring stuff, but that's pretty much what I did. I would straight up hyper focus on this guy, watch MLB Network. Any game that was on that day, I was watching it. I would be sitting down, especially for Angels games, because I'm an Angels fan. I would study Mike Trout's swing, Shohei Ohtani at the time. And if that game wasn't on, I was watching the next broadcasted game that night. I was over-identified as a baseball player, if that's even a thing. But that's just an example of what it means to be identified in a sport. And I'm sure a lot of y'all can really attest to this if you're being honest with yourself. Anyway, so going back to that story, I quit my sophomore year. And this is when I started actually getting closer to God, getting more rooted in my relationship with Jesus Christ. And this was great. But it also did suck, and it really made me realize, especially from that counselor visit, that I straight up only had an identity in baseball. And when I quit, I started to realize that there's a lot more cool things about me, a lot more things that I could do, especially within Jesus Christ. I really was able to unlock a new ability, the ability to speak and to be able to share wisdom with you guys. That was awesome to me. It would have been my junior year. I had my first FCA what's it called? Presentation, pretty much. And that was really cool. And I don't think I would have had that if I was really still playing baseball, because I wouldn't have even thought twice about, joining something like that. I'd be probably watching more baseball. So that's pretty much where I'm getting at. There's nothing wrong with liking a sport. There's nothing wrong with being involved in clubs or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But when it does become an issue is to when you straight up revolve your whole life around one thing. I have a baseball somewhere. Forget it. But that's when it does become an issue, guys. But if you can learn how to balance baseball or football or cheerleading or volleyball or chess or art or your AP classes that you're trying to, go really far with, and do it with Jesus Christ, then ultimately you'll be fine. But if you're not doing that, if Christ is not centered, that ship will sink sooner than later. I'll show y'all a verse before I wrap things up. Colossians 3, verse 2, and then I'll read 3 as well. It says, think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth. That already tells us a lot right there. 3 says, for you died to this life, and your real life is hidden with Christ in God. What this is telling us is to think higher than ourselves, our performance, our sport, our club, that sort of thing. But instead, set your thoughts higher, which is heaven, which is Jesus Christ, the ability to be able to go there if you truly believe in Him, if you have an identity in Him. Thank you all for tuning into this YouTube video, this podcast, wherever you're watching this again. And I really do thank y'all for being here. I believe anybody can do just that, to be able to put their identity in Jesus Christ. And as always, if y'all like videos like this, check out my Beacons link, which will be in the bio of one of these platforms you're seeing it on. Check that out. Let me know how I did on this video. And, if you do like this stuff, I post on TikTok, I post on Instagram. Similar videos, just a little shorter, a little more condensed. And I don't really post often on YouTube or my podcast. I should probably get consistent with that. But, yeah, that's all, guys. I do appreciate y'all being here. Have a great rest of your night. Happy Saturday, August 2nd. It's going to be a great month, if you believe it's going to be a great month. Have a great day, everybody. Stay blessed and have a blessed rest of your month.